Well, hello there, squirrel listeners. I know, slacking again. Let's see, last sentence I read, or paragraph. You try to tell me gently, Faith, but I see that you consider me one of the innocent unfortunates who have no right to marry till they be healed. Perhaps never. I have dimly felt this during the past year, now I know it, and thank God that I have no child to reproach me hereafter for bequeathing it the mental ills I have not yet outlived. Dear Sylvia, you're an exceptional case in all respects, because an extreme one. The ancient theology of two contending spirits in one body is strangely exemplified in you. For each rules by turns, and each helps or hinders as moods and circumstances lead. Even in the great event of a woman's life, you were thwarted by conflicting powers, impulse and ignorance, passion and pride, hope and despair. Now you stand at the parting of the ways, looking wistfully along the pleasant one, where Adam seems to beckon, while I point down the rugged one, where I have walked, and though my heart aches as I do it, counsel you as I would a daughter of my own. I thank you. I will follow you, but my life looks very barren if I must relinquish my desire. Not as barren as if you possessed your desire and found it in another misery and mistake. Could you have loved Geoffrey, it might have been safe and well with you. Loving Adam, it is neither. Let me show you why. He is an exception like yourself. Perhaps that explains your attraction for each other. In him the head rules, in Geoffrey the heart. The one criticizes, the other loves mankind. Geoffrey is proud and private in all that lies nearest him, clings to persons, and is faithful as a woman. Adam has only the pride of an intellect which tests all things. And abides by its own insight. He clings to principle. Persons are but animated facts or ideas. He seizes, searches, uses them, and when they have no more for him, drops them like the husk, whose kernel he has secured, passing on to find and study other samples, without regret but with unabated zeal. For life to him is perpetual progress, and he obeys the law of this nature as steadily as sun or sea. Is not that so? All true. What more, Faith? Few women, if wise, would dare to marry this man, noble and love-worthy as he is, till time has tamed and experience developed him. Even then the risk is great, for he demands and unconsciously absorbs into himself the personality of others, making large returns, but of a kind which only those as strong, sagacious, and steadfast as himself can receive and adapt to their individual uses without being overcome and possessed. That none of us should be, except by the Spirit stronger than man, purer than woman. You feel, though you do not understand this power, you know that his presence excites yet wearies you, that while you love, you fear him, and even when you long to be all in all to him, you doubt your ability to make his happiness. Am I not right? I must say yes. Then it is scarcely necessary for me to tell you that I think this unequal marriage would be but a brief one for you, bright at its beginning, dark at its end. With him you would exhaust yourself in passionate endeavors to follow where he led. He would not know this, you would not confess it, but too late you might both learn that you were too young, too ardent, too frail in all but the might of love to be his wife. It is like a wood bird mating with an eagle, straining its little wings to scale the sky with him, blinding itself with gazing at the sun, striving to feel and warm the wild eyrie which becomes its home, and perishing in the stem solitude the other loves, stern solitude. Yet too fond and faithful to regret the safest nest among the grass, the gentler mate it might have had, the summer life and winter flitting to the south for which it was designed. Faith, you frighten me. You seem to see and show me all the dim forebodings I have hidden away within myself because I could not understand or dared not face them. How have you learned so much? How can you read me so well? And who told you these things of us all? I had an unhappy girlhood in a discordant home. Early cares and losses made me old in youth and taught me to observe how others bore their burdens. Since then, solitude has led me to study and reflect upon the question toward which my thoughts inevitably turned. Concerning yourself and your past, Jeffrey told me much, but Adam more. Have you seen him? Has he been here? When, Faith, when? Light and color flashed back into Sylvia's face, and the glad eagerness of her voice was a pleasant sound to hear. After the despairing accents gone before, Faith sighed, but answered fully, carefully, while the compassion of her look deepened as she spoke. I saw him but a week ago. Vehement and vigorous as ever, he has come hither often during the winter, has watched you unseen, and brought me news of you which made Geoffrey's disclosure scarcely a surprise. He said you bade him hear of you through me, that he preferred to come, not write, for letters were often false interpreters. But face to face one gets the real thought of one's friend by look as well as word, and the result is satisfactory. That is Adam, but what more did he say? How did you advise him? I know he asked counsel of you, as we all have done. He did. And I gave it as frankly as to you and Geoffrey. He made me understand you, judge you leniently. See in you the virtues you have cherished despite drawbacks such as few have to struggle with. Your father made Adam his confessor during the happy month when you first knew him. I need not tell you how he received and preserved such a trust. He betrayed no confidence, but in speaking of you I saw that his knowledge of the father taught him to understand the daughter. It was well and beautifully done, and did we need anything to endear him to us, this trait of character would do it. For it is a rare endowment, the power of overcoming all obstacles of pride, age, and the sad reserve self-condemnation brings us, in making confession a grateful healing. I know it. We tell our sorrows to such as Geoffrey, our sins to such as Adam. But Faith, when you spoke of me, did you say to him what you've been saying to me about my unfitness to be his wife because of inequality and my unhappy inheritance? Could I do otherwise when he fixed that commanding eye of his upon me, asking, is my love as wise as it is warm? He is one of those who force the hardest truth from us by the simple fact that they can bear it and would do the same for us. He needed it then, for though instinct was right, hence its anxious question, his heart, never so entirely roused as now, made it difficult for him to judge of your relations to one another. And there, my woman's insight helped him. What did he do when you told him? I see that you will yet hesitate to tell me. I think you have been preparing me to hear it. Speak out, though my cheeks whiten and my hands tremble, I can bear it. For you shall be the law by which I will abide. You shall be a law to yourself, my brave Sylvia. Put your hands in mine and hold fast to the friend who loves and honors you for this. I will tell you what Adam did and said. He sat in deep thought many minutes, but with him to see is to do, and soon he turned to me with the courageous expression which in him signifies that the fight is fought, the victory won. It is necessary to be judge. It is not necessary to be happy. I shall never marry Sylvia, even if I may. And with that paraphrase of words whose meaning seemed to fit his need, he went away. I think he will not come again either to me or you. How still the room grew as Faith's reluctant lips uttered the last words. Sylvia sat motionless, looking out into the sunny valley, with eyes that saw nothing but the image of that beloved friend leaving her perhaps forever. Well, she knew that with this man to see was to do, and with a woeful sense of desolation falling cold upon her heart, she felt that there was nothing more to hope for but a brave submission like his own. Yet in that pause there came a feeling of relief after the first despair. The power of choice was no longer left her, and the help she needed was bestowed by one who could decide against himself, inspired by a sentiment which curbs a strong man's love of power, and made it subject to a just man's love of right. Great examples never lose their virtue. When Pompey was to Warwick, that Warwick came to Sylvia, and in the moment of supremest sorrow she felt the fire of a noble emulation kindling within her from the spark he left behind. Faith, and it was Pompey, not Pompey, Pompey. Faith, what comes next? This. And she was gathered close while Faith confessed how hard her task had been by letting tears fall fast upon the head which seemed to have found its proper resting place, as if, despite her courage and her wisdom, the woman's heart was half broken with its pity. Better than any words was the motherly embrace, the silent shower, the blessed balm of sympathy which soothed the wounds it could not heal. Leaning against each other, the two hearts talked together in the silence, feeling that beauty of the tie kind nature weaves between the hearts that should be knit. Faith often turns her lips to Sylvia's forehead, brushed back her hair with a lingering touch, and drew her nearer as if it was very pleasant to see and feel the little creature in her arms. Sylvia lay there tearless and tranquil, thinking thoughts for which she had no words, and trying to prepare herself for the life to come, a life that now looked very desolate. Her eye still rested on the valley where the river flowed. The elms waved their budding boughs in the bland air, or boughs. Is it boughs or boughs? Tree limbs. And the meadows wore their earliest tinge of green, but she was not conscious of these things till the sight of a solitary figure coming slowly up the hill recalled her to the present and the duties it still held for her. Here is Geoffrey. How wearily he walks, how changed and old he looks. Oh, why was I born to be a curse to all who love me? Hush, Sylvia, say anything but that, because it casts reproach upon your father. Your life is but just begun. Make it a blessing, not a curse, as all of us have power to do. And remember that for every affliction there are two helpers, one who can heal or end the heaviest we know, time and death. The first we may invoke and wait for, The last God alone can send when it is better not to live. I will try to be patient. Will you meet and tell Jeffrey what has passed? I have no strength left for passive endurance. Faith went. Sylvia heard the murmur of earnest conversation, and steps came rapidly along the hall, and Moore was in the room. She rose involuntarily, but for a moment neither spoke, for never had they met as now. Each regarded the other as if a year had rolled between them since they parted, and each saw in the other the changes that one day had wrought. Neither the fire of resentment nor the frost of pride now rendered Moore's face stormy or stern. Anxious and worn it was, with newly graven lines upon the forehead and melancholy curves around the mouth, but the peace of a conquered spirit touched it with a pale serenity, and some perennial hope shone in the glance he bent upon his wife. For the first time in her life, Sylvia was truly beautiful, not physical, for never had she looked more weak and wan, but spiritually, as the inward change made itself manifest in an indescribable expression of meekness and strength. With suffering came submission, with repentance came regeneration, and the power of the woman yet to be. Touched with beauty, the pathos of the woman now passing through the fire. Faith has told you what has passed between us, and you know that my loss is a double one, she said. Let me add that I deserve it, that I closely see my mistakes, will amend such as I can, bear the consequences of such as our past help, try to profit by all and make no new ones. I cannot be your wife, I ought not to be Adam's, but I may be myself. May live my life alone, and being friends with both, wrong neither. This is my decision. In it I believe, by it will I abide, and if it be a just one, God will not let me fail. I submit, Sylvia, I can still hope and wait. So humbly he said it, so heartily he meant it. She felt that his love was as indomitable as Warwick's will, and the wish that it were right and possible to accept and reward it woke with all its intensity. It was not possible, and though her heart grew heavier within her, Sylvia answered steadily, No, Geoffrey, do not hope, do not wait. Forgive me and forget me. Go abroad as you propose, travel far and stay long away. Change your life and learn to see in me only the friend I once was and still desire to be. I will go and will stay till you recall me, but while you live your life alone, I shall still hope and wait. This invincible fidelity, so patient, so persistent, impressed the listener like a prophecy, disturbed her conviction, arrested the words upon her lips, and softened them. It is not for one so unstable as myself to say I shall never change. I do not say it, though I heartily believe it, but will leave all to time. Surely I may do this, may let separation gently, gradually convince you or alter me, and as the one return which I can make for all you have given me, let this tie between us remain unbroken a little longer. Take this poor consolation with you. It's the best I can offer now. Mine is the knowledge that however I may thwart your life in this world, there is a beautiful eternity in which you will forget me and be happy. She gave him comfort, but he robbed her of her own as he drew her to him, answering with a glance brighter than any smile. Love is immortal, dear, and even in the beauty eternal, I shall still hope and wait. Whistle. Lordy, how much more is this chapter? Oh. Woo! A lot. Let's see here. Hope you can make it to Live at 5 today. Have a little lion brand order to show you and a little furls yarn. How soon it was all over, the return to separate homes, the disclosures and the storms, the preparation for the solitary voyage, the last charges and farewells. Mark would not, and Prue could not, go to see the traveler off, the former being too angry to lend his countenance to what he termed a barbarous banishment. The latter, being half blind with crying, stayed to nurse Geoffrey, whose soft heart was nearly broken at what seemed to her the most direful affliction under heaven. But Sylvia and her father followed more till his foot left the soil and still lingered on the wharf to watch the steamer out of port. An uncongenial place in which to part. Cartridges rolled up and down. A clamor of voices filled the air. The little steam tug snorted with impatience, and the waves flowed seaward with the ebbing of the tide. But father and daughter saw only one subject, heard only one sound, Moore's face as it looked down upon them. From the deck, Moore's voice as he sent cheery messages to those left behind. Mr. Yule was endeavoring to reply as cheerily, and Sylvia was gazing with eyes that saw very dimly through her tears, when both were aware of an instantaneous change in the countenance they watched. Something beyond themselves seemed to arrest Moore's eye. A moment he stood intent and motionless, then flushed to the forehead with a dark glow Sylvia remembered well, waved his hand to them and vanished down the cabin stairs. Papa, what did he see? There was no need of any answer. Adam Warwick came striding through the crowd, saw them, paused with both hands out, and a questioning glance, as if uncertain of his greeting. With one impulse the hands were taken. Sylvia could not speak, her father could not, and did approvingly. Welcome, Warwick. You are to come to say goodbye to Geoffrey? Rather to you, sir. He needs none. I go with him. With him? Echoed both hearers. Aye, that I will. Did you think I would let him go away alone, feeling bereaved of wife and home and friend? We should have known you better, but Warwick, he will shun you. He hid himself just now as you approached. He has tried to forgive, but he cannot so soon forget. All the more need of my helping him to do both. He cannot shun me long, with no hiding place to fly but to the sea, and I will so gently constrain him by the old-timey love we bore each other, that he must relent and take me back into his heart again. Oh, Adam, go with him, stay with him, and bring him safely back to me. When time has helped us all, I shall do it, God willing. Unmindful of all else, Warwick bent and took her to him as he gave the promise, seemed to put his whole heart into a single kiss, and left her trembling with the stress of his farewell. She's... Ow. It jumped on me. Father showed stresses she saw. Warwick bent and took her to him as his... Okay. Unmindful of all else, Warwick bent and took her to him as he gave the promise, seemed to put his whole heart into a single kiss, and left her trembling with the stress of his farewell. She saw him cleave his way through the throng, leap the space left by the gangway just withdrawn, and vanish in search of that lost friend. Then she turned her face to her father's shoulder, conscious of nothing but the fact that Warwick had come and gone. A cannon boomed, the crowd cheered, the last cable was flung off, and the steamer glided from her moorings with the surge of water and the waft of wind like some sea monster eager to be out upon the ocean free again. Look up, Sylvia, she will soon pass from sight. Are they there? No. Then I do not care to see. Look for me, Father, and tell me when they come. They will not come, dear. Both have said goodbye, and we have seen the last of them for many a day. They will come. Adam will bring Geoffrey to show me they are friends again. I know it. You shall see it. Lift me to the block and watch the deck with me, that we may see them the instant they appear. Up she sprung, eyes clear now, nerves steady, faith strong, leaning forward so utterly regretful of herself she would have fallen into the green water tumbling there below had her father not held her fast. How slowly the minutes seemed to pass. How rapidly the steamer seemed to glide away. How heavily the sense of loss weighed on her heart, as wave after wave rolled between her and her heart's desire. Come down, Sylvia. It is giving yourself useless pain to watch and wait. Come home, my child, and let us comfort one another. She did not hear him, for as he spoke, the steamer swung slowly round to launch itself into the open bay, and with a cry that drew many eyes upon the young figure with its face of pale expectancy, Sylvia saw her hope fulfilled. I knew they would come. See, Father, see, Geoffrey is smiling as he waves his handkerchief, and Adam's hand is on his shoulder. Answer them. Oh, answer them. I can only look. The old man did answer them enthusiastically, and Sylvia stretched her arms across the widening space as if to bring them back again. Side by side the friends stood now, Moore's eye upon his wife, while from his hand the little flag of peace streamed in the wind, but Warwick's glance was turned upon his friend, and Warwick's hand almost seemed to claim the charge he had accepted. Streaming thus, they passed from sight. Neither to come sailing home again together, as the woman on the shore was praying God to let her see them come. That's it. And squirrels are running up and down my roof. Okay, and the next chapter will be 19, called 6 Months. 40, are they going to be gone that long? I reckon so. See you, be sweet, don't be ugly. Hope you get lots of stitching done today. And like I said, I hope to see you live at 5. Bye-bye.